How's everybody doing today? Sorry, I'm just chugging water because I just got off a call and I have like real bad dry mouth. How is everyone doing? I think I'm live. Let's see. I believe so. If you see me, drop a comment in there so I know all is good. There was actually a time I was talking to myself. I thought I was talking to you all for about 10 minutes before realizing that like I wasn't even connected for whatever reason. I think it was an internet thing. So please drop a comment in there and let me know that you were there. We're going to wait a few minutes for some people to join. I'm so excited for today's live. Again, I'm just going to take another sip of water. I must have really been talking a lot on that last live there. So how's everybody's week going? We are doing Thursdays now instead of Wednesdays, a little bit different, changing it up a little bit, especially because of the summer schedule. My boys are in camp and just like Thursdays works better and then earlier in the day. So I hope some of you are maybe joining on your at a wonderful lunch spot, grabbing a nice little sandwich or something or a smoothie. But so today we are going to be talking about the 5 most unproductive behaviors or habits that entrepreneurs or small business owners make, and it really keeps them stuck or it really limits their outcomes or their results. So we're going to talk about that today. I have my little handy whiteboard just so I can list them out. I think it's always helpful so I'm not just spewing at you. All right, so where are we joining from today? Drop a comment in there. Maybe let me know where you're joining from, what it is you do. So excited to have you. We're going to wait a few more moments for some people to sign on because I know the lunchtime, well, it's me lunchtime if you're Eastern time, so maybe it's not even lunch for you. I keep assuming it's lunch. Maybe it's breakfast. I don't know. But anyways, you might be a little busy. And I'm just going to keep chugging water over here and then have to go to the bathroom. Great. All right. So let's just hop right in. There's always a little delay in my comments here. So I'm just going to hop right in. And if you make a comment or you ask a question at any time, please bear with me. There is a little delay and I will get to any questions or comments throughout. It might just not be in that very moment. So I said a minute ago, we're talking about behaviors or patterns that are keeping you stuck. Now the word stuck, I have mixed feelings about it. I use it a lot, right? You see it a lot. You'll see it a lot when talking about business, but it's such like a disempowering word, right? When I think of stuck, I think of stuck in quicksand or stuck in the mud or something gross. I don't know why. It's always my feet being stuck. And that means I have no control, right? It's not something I can control. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about today, you completely have control over these habits and behaviors. So I want to kind of take stuck out of the picture for a minute because I want us to be more empowered by the fact that we can change all of these patterns and behaviors, which is huge. So by the end of the training, I always like to start off with a little objective. It's the former teacher in me. So by the end of today's training, I want you to realize that you can regain control of ultimately recognizing these behaviors, changing these behaviors, and then changing the outcomes for your business or the results. We talk a lot about how your beliefs impact your actions or your habits or behaviors, like we're talking about today, which ultimately impact or are responsible for your results or outcomes. So it's really important that we recognize what we're doing along every step of the way so we can be really deliberate in the way that we go about our day and the rituals that we have created for our business or for our personal lives as well. All right. So if that sounds good, drop a let's do this or a heart or something in there in the comments. If it doesn't sound good, I'm sorry. That's what we got. I'm just kidding. Okay. So let's just hop right into it. I'm not going to waste any more time. There are more, but these are the most common for entrepreneurs and business owners. Okay. And the first one, and please, you'll have to excuse my handwriting. But the first one is being reactive. Hopefully you can see this. I know there's a little glare. I get tons of natural light in this room, but for some reason where the windows are, kind of like I can't figure out the lighting, the glare. I need a photographer to help me with that. Any photographers in here who can help me with that? Drop it in the comments. I need you. Okay. So being reactive versus proactive, which is ultimately where we want to head, the direction we want to head in. So what does that mean? So if you're reactive, are you looking ahead to your week, your month, your year? Do you actually have a strategy, or do you think of things strategically as you plan out your attack for that month? Do you try to avoid pitfalls in a project that you may have by planning it out? People who tend to be reactive, it's not a negative thing. I know it has a very negative connotation, but you can be a reactive person, and all that means is you jump into a project and you do an awesome job and you have all this enthusiasm and you jump in, but what happens is somewhere along the line, you either lose focus or you hit a roadblock that you hadn't anticipated. And instead of it being something that you can overcome because you've planned ahead and you have a strategy in place, it ends up being like this seismic earthquake or something, or some, I don't know, I'm trying to envision some natural disaster in front of you. Hopefully that doesn't happen. So when you are reactive, you then are in the position where you have to react to those issues, and it's always a lot harder to react, and ultimately the end product is not going to be as good versus if you were proactive. Okay? So a proactive person plans for the future, sees that these little things could turn into possible disasters, and that allows you to problem solve from the beginning. Okay? A lot of entrepreneurship and being a business owner is actually being able to problem solve and pivot. So if you are reactive, you're not giving yourself that opportunity to problem solve ahead of time. You're putting all the stress on to figure it out in the moment when things have escalated to a point where they're a lot harder to solve. Okay, so you want to prevent those small issues from becoming giant disasters by being proactive. Okay, and if you're wondering, okay, I get it, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm a little reactive, and then sometimes I'm working on a project for a client and I realize, ooh, I should have seen this coming, or I had my hesitations about this, but I just kind of ignored it and jumped in and thought, I'll figure it out when I get there. Don't worry, we're going to learn how to turn that behavior around. But first, what I want to do is I want to talk about the 5 unproductive patterns first, get that out there, and then we're going to talk about how to course correct with those patterns. Okay, so first we're going to identify them, and then we're going to talk about how you can overcome them or course correct with your habits, if that sounds good. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, where did I put my black marker? Oh, geez, right here. Okay, there's a little marker thing too, but God forbid I put it, in the holder. That'd be easy. Makes sense. Okay, number 2 is similar, ties in, right? And that's the thing about these 5 behaviors. Don't feel overwhelmed if you feel like, ooh, I do all of these things, because they are very interconnected. So making a small change to one will really change all of them for you. Okay, and again, it's better to know about things that you need to work on than to keep your head in the sand. So don't panic if you're like, oh, I do these 5 things. That's okay. Most entrepreneurs do. Okay, but now you know, and it's going to help you to get unstuck, okay, out of that quicksand or whatever you're stuck in. Okay, so number 2 is failing to plan. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, well, that's similar to reactive. And it is. But it's a little bit different because reactive means that you are not looking ahead at things or recognizing possible things that could blow up in your face. Failing to plan means that you just haven't, you might know those things are there, but you haven't put the plan into place. So this one's a little bit more of an actionable habit, if you will. So how do you start a project? Do you use an outline? Do you use a calendar? Some type of graphic organizer? There's all different types of things out there, whether they be like handwritten, if you like to go old school, or if it's like an app or some kind of software to help you plan out a project. Okay. Do you do that? Or do you just hop right in, right? Again, if you're more reactive, you might just hop right in and see what happens. Because you might be thinking it's a waste of time. And I hear this a lot from my clients who are like, yeah, but I had done this task like 50 times before. So I was like, do I really have to plot it out again because it's a waste of time? That's something like I had to do in corporate because my bosses would be like, you have to do this. And that's the point of having my own business. I can do it my way, right? And then ultimately something happened. So you still do want to plan it out, okay? And it doesn't have to be this intricate, color-coded, presentation on a poster board. Just whatever it is that works for you that plans out your project or your task, okay? Because there was some reason probably that either that boss or that person in the 9 to 5 was telling you to write a plan, because they recognize the fact that sometimes when you're halfway through a project, things come up that you hadn't anticipated, or you skip a crucial step. Okay? So for instance, again, with reactive, you don't anticipate. Here, it could be you just skip a step by accident because you didn't plan it out. So for instance, let's say you're planning, I'm going to be doing a Facebook challenge, a Facebook group challenge. It's coming up at the end of this month. I'll announce it maybe later today. You're just getting a sneak peek. So I was looking at the dates, right? I'm planning it all out. Now, let's say I was like, okay, I've done challenges a million times. I don't really need to plan it out. I'll do it these days. This will be the topic. This will be what it is. Okay, I'm starting to make all my stuff, and I blast it out there to the world. Let's say I do that. And then I'm like, ooh, and I look in the calendar, and I recognize that one of the dates of my challenge is like a holiday. Maybe not a holiday I celebrate, so it wasn't so obvious or so clear. So that's what happens when you have failure to plan, right? These things happen, and you like either missed a step, or you made a mistake like that, or you missed a step creating some funnel online that all of a sudden your technology is broken. So it really is crucial, okay? And there are some careers out there, or maybe some niches in different entrepreneurs where it's hard to plan. It's not as possible. It's not as practical. And I get that. But let's be honest. We are not ER doctors. We are not ER nurses here. Okay. Within a certain amount of, to a certain extent, we have a decent idea what our day is going to entail, and we can plan. All right. So it's nice to be like, yeah, well, not everything, you can't plan for everything. And that is ultimately so true. But it's not the type of occupation where you just don't plan at all because, you're like an ambulance driver and you don't know where it's going to bring you. Okay? Where the day is going to bring you. All right. That's number 2. Number 3 is excuses. And again, I don't want you to feel badly. Today, feel badly. Yes, adverb. Today is not about feeling bad. Today is about recognizing these behaviors and changing them, right? Because if you feel like you don't know why, but your business is kind of like plateaued, or you feel like you could be doing so much more, you feel like your product's so great, maybe some of these behaviors are holding you back, okay? So excuses. We're all guilty of it, right? It's human nature if we fail at something or we don't do our best, we are looking for the why or how. How did this happen, right? And, we do it when we're talking to our spouse, a friend, our kids, right? I make excuses to my kids like, oh, sorry, I don't have the snack you want, blah, 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 right? Sorry, we're out of pirate's booty. Your world is now over. That's how they act. But we do this with clients also, and it's human nature. We rationalize it. We want to put the accountability elsewhere. And the problem with that is that first of all, it's not good for your relationship with the client, right? But it also can start to get you a reputation for not necessarily being bad at what you do, but for creating excuses or maybe not being a problem solver. Because if you think about it, anytime you run into an issue, that's really an opportunity for you to showcase your problem solving skills. Okay, if you look at it as more of an opportunity, clients don't want to hear that your kids got the flu, or that your internet was down so you couldn't do something, or your car broke down. At the end of the day, even if you have a friendly rapport, you can tell them that, but they don't really want to hear that. They want to hear how you are going to solve the problem, what your solution is, how you're pushing forward. So passing the buck or deflecting doesn't get them closer to that solution, and it's just, makes you look a little bit unprofessional, or like you can't deal with any kind of like wrench in the plan. Okay? Life happens. You can be honest. Mistakes happen. That doesn't take away from your ability, but just own it, right? Own it. Take accountability. Don't focus on the how it happened. Focus on the what now, or if you're going to focus on the how am I going to fix the problem, right? That's really what you want to ultimately focus on, and showcase those great problem solving skills. All right? And learn something. Use it as an opportunity to learn. All right. Number 4, we only have 5. I'm going to fit them on there, even though I write really big. Okay. Number 4 is resisting change. Resisting, I hope I'm spelling all this right, change. Now, most of you know that I am a former high school teacher, and my students used to make fun of me because I don't think I've done it here, because I've been like really thinking about it. But when I write really quickly, my eyes, I dot them like on another word. Very strange habit. that, of course, my high school students like pointed out. But anyways, I digress. So resisting change. Personally, I have been told my whole life that I'm a resistant to change type of person. Okay. My family has told me that. I liked Christmas traditions untouched. Don't you dare mess with the time we wake up or where we go or how it's done. That's the tradition. I like schedules. I like them to remain like static. I do like that. And I think I've shared with you before that I suffer anxiety. And so for me, and for probably many of you, even if you don't have anxiety, change is can be scary. It can feel ambiguous. Like what? Like I don't have control right now. It's overwhelming. So it's something that maybe isn't in your nature to embrace. For some people it is, but if it's not in your nature to embrace change, it's something you really need to work on. I need to work on it, okay? Because change is going to happen all the time when you're an entrepreneur or a business owner, whether it be new technology comes out or like a platform changes their algorithm or there's some new like cutting edge trend or some cool like TikTok trend, or clearly I don't know TikTok trends, but those change. Political events, natural disasters, supply chain issues, all these things are going to happen, and it's going to require that you course correct or that you change or that you adapt to these things that may be out of your control. And it's not a mystery why a lot of us resist change, right? Especially in our work and in our own work, because we get comfortable and we know that what we do well, and any change kind of threatens that in a way. But you gotta own it if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur. The sooner you recognize that change is just an innate part of your world now, the better off you will be. Okay? Number 5. We are at number 5. And then we're going to get into, the ways to combat or change these habits. So number 5. Any guesses out there? Any guesses? Throw me a comment. Guess. Number 5. Over-promising. Is it one word? Over-promising? I'm going to write it. I'm going to do like a little, could be 2, could be 1. Over-promising. I think it's really a dash, but I'm just going to do it like that. And then with this is kind of and under-delivering. Okay? And I want you to think back to a time that you felt like you were over-promised something and then it under-delivered. Okay, my most recent example of this would be that we doubled our internet speed with our local carrier here, which is Comcast, and we only can use Comcast. Like, there's no other possibility in our town, which is crazy and annoying. But so we doubled our internet speed. They said, oh, it's going to be amazing. And we said, is there going to be any disruption at all? Because if there is, we'll do it over a weekend because we rely on the internet. I have client calls. And they said, no, not at all, right? Overpromise. No, it's going to be great. It's going to be a smooth transition. Everything's going to be wonderful. Your internet's going to be so much faster. You're going to feel like you're walking on water, okay? They didn't really say that, but that's what it felt like in the moment. Then what happened was they doubled the internet speed and our internet went down, okay? Internet went down, under-delivering. I don't know if there's something more dramatic I can say than under-delivering. If there is a word for that, that's what happened. Our internet went completely down for 3 days, 3 weekdays. I had to go to coffee shops and work out of, I was it was bad. I was doing calls, at the local Starbucks. I adapted, right? Because I'm not going to resist the change. I'm going to take it and overcome it, right? I wasn't happy about it. But how do I feel now about that company? I have to use them because they're the only option here, but I loathe them. And if I had another option, I would have switched. Now, there is something to be said that the way they handled it, their customer service wasn't great either. And if you overpromise and under-deliver, but you handle it the right way, you can recoup those people. But in general, we want to try to avoid this, okay? I'm a people pleaser by nature. Any other people pleasers out there? If you're a people pleaser, please tell me so I'm not the only one. Write PP in the comments or something. People pleaser. Tell my mom of 3 boys. I was just like, PP. Okay. So drop that in the comments if you're a people pleaser too. But guess what? I'm probably always going to be a people pleaser and I'm not going to be able to change that. But in order to make sure I don't overpromise, I now recognize that the people pleaser in me, by overpromising, I'm not pleasing anyone at the end. Because when I overpromise and I underdeliver, I am not pleasing anyone. So the people pleaser in me, thank you, Katie, you're a people pleaser too? Feel it. Okay, so I'm not the only one out there. So the people pleaser in me feels the need to say yes to everything, right? Whether it be a client that comes to me or, early on when I had the boys, I was like participating in everything and running everything. And ultimately, I was spreading myself too thin and I felt like I wasn't doing anything well. So the people pleaser in me didn't end up pleasing everything, if that makes sense. I hope it does. So let's stop being like, yes, ma'am types, right? If your client asks you for something that's not within the scope of what you do, either because you're not maybe capable of it or because it's not what you choose to do, then just be honest, because they're going to find out eventually anyways, right? So you might as well be honest from the beginning. If a client asks you or a customer asks you for something that's an additional charge, I know this was hard for me also because I'm a people pleaser. I said, oh yeah, no problem. You tell them you can absolutely do that, but it's an additional charge, right? Again, going back to charging our worth, like we've talked about in some previous trainings. So we have to stop being nervous about pleasing everyone. And also, I think we think if we say, oh, we can't do something or we're choosing not to, that it makes us look incompetent, like, oh, we don't have that ability. So then we agree to it. We scramble to do it. We stress the F out, right? And then, I don't know, we either underdeliver or like we don't feel good about it in here. Even if we deliver like a good ultimate like outcome or project or task, we might not feel good about it in here. And was it worth it? Was it worth all that anguish? Probably not. Okay? Would have been a lot easier if you just said no from the beginning, or not say no, but like get clarity or kind of shift it to something that's more realistic or more within your capabilities. Okay? Because ultimately the client's going to figure it out and it's only going to end up hurting their trust in you. And remember, your clients, you need to build that know, like, and trust factor with them. And now they know you, their trust has been shaken, right? Because you've overpromised something and then you've underdelivered. It's not necessarily they think that you lied to them, but maybe they don't think that what you deliver is what they had in mind. So that trust is shaken a little bit, okay? Whereas if you were honest from the beginning about your limitations, or like, you wouldn't be delivering a shoddy product or missing a deadline or totally kind of missing the mark on the product that they had in mind. All right? I hope that makes sense. So these are the 5 most common unproductive habits that I see with most of my clients. Why did I write high achievers right there? Oh my gosh, I wrote the wrong title. I can't believe nobody called me out right there. All right. Unproductive habits. You know what it is? I left that up there from the before. Oh my goodness. These are the unproductive habits. I'm going to write of entrepreneurs, but I'm just going to write unproductive habits. Okay, so these are the 5. So how do we change these? Unproductive habits. You're like, that was last week's live. High achievers. Okay. Unproductive habits. All right. So we have being reactive, failing to plan, making excuses, resisting change, and then overpromising and underdelivering. So let's first talk about reactive. So how do you become more proactive? Well, first you have to get a true grasp of everything that's on your plate, okay? Whether that's writing it down or using some kind of organizer. You want to organize with a calendar and plot out the items that you have ahead for at least the next quarter would be my suggestion. Okay, you can do it longer, it's up to you, but at least the next quarter. Then you want to use a planner or project management tools. I personally really like Trello. A lot of people like Asana. I don't even know if I'm saying that right or if it's Asana. I like Trello personally, but whatever works for you, try them. Most of them have all of them have free trials and, with limited capabilities. You only have to pay if you want to upgrade for more things. So try them, see what works for you, right? And then look towards the future and stretch yourself to set those big goals and then have a plan in place that's strategic and proactive, okay? Proactive being the key word, not reactive. All right, good. We've fixed that one. Next one, failing to plan. How are you gonna fix that? Well, you're gonna plan out your year. I am gonna do a future training on planning out your year where I'm also going to give you a free resource that I created that I love to use. It's in an Excel, well, technically it's in a Google Docs spreadsheet, but it gives your year at a glance, and then it also breaks it down by month. And it's really helpful to have. And it's not necessarily, on Monday I'm going to post to my Instagram. It's more like big picture. Like, those 3 days I'm going to do a challenge in my Facebook group, or these are the days that, my magazine issue is going to drop, or these are the dates that I'm going to check in with my accountant, whatever it is, okay? So you're also going to figure out what a typical day is. Remember, because we're not ER doctors here, we can figure out a typical day and your most effective approach. And you're going to be examining the known factors. Surprises will happen, but you're just looking at the known factors, okay? Whenever you're going to start that day, what is your plan of attack? You're going to have that to-do list, and then you're going to take the time to approach all of your projects with that plan in place. And I like to think of it, it's ironic I like to think of it this way because, you guys have heard me say before, I am not a cook. But I like to think of it like if you were going to make a meal, or at least if I'm going to make a meal, but maybe I'm doing it all wrong because I'm not a good cook. But I want all my ingredients there from the beginning. I'm not going to start to make the meal, put it in the oven, then realize, I got to run out to the grocery store. Now whatever I just put in the oven is going to burn, right? So it's the same exact thing with your business, all right? So that's how you need to plan, so that you're planning, not planning to fail, right? Have you heard that before? Failing to plan is planning to fail. All right. Number 3, excuses. So how do we get around this one? Well, first of all, you just have to own the fact that you're in charge of your life and adopt a no excuse mentality right from the get-go. No excuse mentality. Yes, there are other factors or maybe extenuating circumstances that cause something, but at the end of the day, we're adults, you're smart, you're a problem solver, you can adapt, okay? So the next time a client or a customer comes to you with a concern, take ownership of it. Take ownership and tell them that you're going to resolve it. That's it. You don't need to say, the reason it's like that is because I didn't have time to do that. No, just take ownership for it and say, yeah, I can understand. I understand what you're saying, and I'll change that for you and get it back to you, or whatever it is that, you're working on. You can apologize if you feel like it warrants an apology, like if it was a big mistake or something that really affected them, but you don't need to over apologize. Things happen. You may have had a different idea in your mind than they did of what the product or project would look like. So that's fine. If you feel like it warrants an apology, go for it. And don't dwell on it. Don't dwell on it with your client verbally. Don't dwell on it yourself mentally. Okay, because you're moving on. You're not going to wallow. You are moving on. Bye, excuses. Goodbye. Okay. Resisting change. So how do we resist? How do we embrace change so that ultimately we can course correct and kind of recognize all the opportunities? So write in the comments if you can tell me the word I'm thinking of. The definition of blank is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I don't know if I have the exact words there, but I think so. If you know the answer, write it in, okay? Because if you're resistant to change, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. You are, okay? Anyone? All right, I'm just going to tell you. It's insanity, right? You're going to drive yourself insane. So embrace change, because that will allow you as an entrepreneur or business owner to course correct, to try new things, to discover opportunities, to keep the excitement there, okay? For a lot of people, the reason they left a 9-to-5 or didn't start one to begin with and embraced entrepreneurship or being a business owner is because of maybe boredom in a 9-to-5, or not feeling challenged, or not being stimulated, or that lack of excitement or ownership. So accept the fact that you now have that. You have all the excitement you can handle, right? And there is change, so you're going to embrace it. Bye-bye, resisting change. Over it. Okay. And then our 5th one is over-promising and under-delivering. So you still want to express the value of your product or your service or your program to your client or customer. So you want to be clear on all the value that you have, but you want to make sure that you are over-delivering and not under-delivering on your promises. One way you could do this is if you have, if it's kind of more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Less of a tailored product, but you want to over deliver. You could have something unexpected that you provide your client that you don't discuss in the beginning, right? That's one way to over deliver and impress, okay? But what you really want to do is resist that urge to be the people pleaser. You want to speak up about any concerns, or if you're not clear on what exactly it is that they want, because ultimately if you're not clear on what they're asking, that leaves too much space in there for dissatisfaction on their part, and it will cause you a lot of stress along the way when you're planning out how to execute, okay? And you want to make sure you communicate early on. If you're worried about a deadline that you originally agreed to with a client, tell them as soon as you're worried about it and be honest about it, okay? If you feel like you need more help or you feel uneasy about some agreement or project that you took on, you need to speak up about it right away as soon as you have those feelings, okay? Because overpromising and under-delivering will make everyone unhappy and could kind of get around to other people and cost you some referrals or some other business. All right? So that's it. Oh, I got to cross it out. We're not doing it anymore. We're not doing it anymore. Okay, good. Cross it off. If you wrote it down, cross it off. But like enough so that you can still read it. Okay, so awesome. We've identified the 5 most common unproductive patterns of behavior that entrepreneurs can get stuck with and how to change them. So that's awesome. I do want to talk about something else. I want to apologize. Earlier this week, it was brought to my attention that I had a tech issue. Oh my God, technology. It's like such a love-hate relationship. But so there was a major glitch. If any of you went to have a chat with me, and I'll post the link in the comments here too, chat with me about either last week's live or just about where your business is. As you recall, I have a completely complimentary, free 30-minute chat where we can talk about really anything. We talk about one of the lives, but how it like applies to you. We could talk about your business, where it is, kind of help you. I can help you in that 30 minutes to kind of get clarity on either how to organize your finances, or if there's maybe some issues with your pricing model, or different additional revenue streams that you could be engaging in. So if you want to do that, I will post a comment. I will post in the comments my link. But I do want to apologize because there was this major glitch, which, oh, and look, I'm apologizing, right? I'm not making an excuse. I guess I kind of am. But it was a technology glitch, but I own it, okay? That was sending people to my contract for one-on-one coaching. There's no contract to talk with me for 30 minutes. And there's definitely no fee, okay? It's a complimentary 30-minute chat. So I think luckily someone told me. I'm so glad to Stephanie, who told me, because I fixed it immediately. And I was like, oh my gosh, I hope that didn't, people didn't get there. I'm like, really? This is quite a lengthy contract and everything to talk with you for 30 minutes. The arrogance. But no, so that is up there. I want to apologize. It's totally fixed now. So again, if you do want to chat with me, I offer 30-minute complimentary chats. It's like no pressure, low key, like no commitments or anything like that. Definitely no contract. And I just help you to look at the financial health of your business. And kind of sometimes it depends on what you're struggling with, or if you're not struggling, like where you're stuck at, if it's mindset, if it's part of your mindset or overcoming certain money blocks or limiting beliefs, or if it's charging your worth, or if it's using efficient business systems or automation so that you're freeing up time and making more passive income, whatever it is. I love to chat about it. And I love to chat about it with you. And hopefully after that 30 minutes, you leave there with some clarity on areas that you can fix. And if it's the right fit, you might want to work together, which is awesome too, but there's like no pressure to do that either. So I'm going to drop the link in here. Let me grab that right now. And where is it? I better do the right link, right? Okay. Actually, I'm going to drop the link in a second because I just want to make sure one more time, even though I've checked this a bunch, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, right? So I just want to make sure that the link is working exactly the way it's supposed to. Yeah, so let me do that first, and then I'll drop the link in the comments. All right, so this was great. Have an awesome rest of your day. Awesome Friday tomorrow. Awesome, Katie. Yeah, I'll drop it in there. Give me like 2 minutes. I just want to make sure I'm doing the correct one and not the one that was giving people issues. So have an awesome day. I hope this was helpful. Start working on those habits. Don't stress if you had every single one of them. Most people do. That's why they're the most common patterns of behavior that hurt entrepreneurs. So no worries. You've got this. Ask me any questions you have. All right. Have a great day. All right. Bye, Katie. Thanks.